For this next story, I believe the headline speaks for itself, and the headline is pretty crazy reading. Quote, woman shot herself in the head while cuffed with hands behind her back during traffic stop in apparent suicide, police say. This is a crazy story. I remember just seeing this headline and automatically thinking, is this about Hillary Clinton? Someone connected to Hillary Clinton? It's not. It's a very sinister story. It's a very horrible story, but filled with many just missing ends here, Jason, especially with, as we're finding out, the little details of it with police cameras not working, malfunctioning. And again, I think it's important to ask some questions, but let's just, do you want to break this down and just get into some of the videos here, Jason?
Yeah, let's just talk about this for a second. Then we're going to go to the original clip. So this is in the news because the medical examiner has ruled this a suicide after a more than 6-month investigation. This happened in late July. And what they're trying to tell us is that in a routine traffic stop, although that doesn't add up because her boyfriend, who was in the passenger seat, apparently was under investigation, they get pulled over. Somehow she ends up in cuffs in the front seat with her hands behind her back, gets a hold of a revolver, and shoots herself through the mouth. So you got to think about that. That is extremely difficult to do. And then on top of it, we don't have any body cams footage. And one of the officers was wearing, guess what? A body cam. But they always malfunction when it's really, really convenient.
I mean, that's what the police say. I mean, I carry body cameras on me, and it's literally about just me turning it on. And I had 2. None of them have malfunctioned. And I have the professional police body cameras. They certain police departments even have more expensive rigs, but I got the official police one. I had 2 different ones, and all you have to do, click a button, bam, you're recording. Never once has it failed. Now again, let's again play devil's advocate here because it's important. It's important to give everyone a fair shake. There were social media postings from this girl that says that she was depressed. It does sometimes happen that SD cards malfunction. It does sometimes happen that cameras just do break, but that's very, very rare. There's other instances that are even more rarer in this case, which is just absolute crazy. Again, it just makes no sense at all and should make us question this official story, of course.
So again, let's just go to the clip, Luke. Let's let it speak for itself. And remember, this was all the way back in July, and somehow this has not garnered national attention. In fact, the only reason I saw this headline was because I was reading the Daily Mail out of the UK.
Wants answers in the death of her daughter.
And she to put a revolver in her mouth.
While handcuffed.
While handcuffed.
That's what the police told me.
That's what the investigator told me last night.
It was Wednesday when Chesapeake police say a 19-year-old woman mysteriously died during a traffic stop. Police say the girl used a handgun inside the car to shoot and kill herself.
But her mother thinks there is much more to the story, and she is desperate for answers. Before heading out to the breaking news, Robert Boyd sat down with her. It's a story you'll see only on 13 News Now.
In all of her life, I've never known of her to shoot a gun, own a gun, or even hold a gun.
Dawn Wilson is still trying to come to grips with why and how her 19-year-old daughter, Sarah Wilson, apparently committed suicide on Wednesday afternoon.
I'm not pointing fingers. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. But I need to know. And I think that's fair. I'm her mom.
This is witness cell phone video taken from the intersection of Berkeley Avenue and Wilson Road in Chesapeake. Wilson was in the passenger seat. Wilson used a gun to take her own life.
Things are not matching up. Somewhere, somehow, there's discrepancy.
Dawn says she has been told a different story compared to what police are relaying to the media.
She was handcuffed. And she to put a revolver in her mouth.
So let's stop there. Remember, the coroner rules after 6+ months that she was indeed handcuffed with her hands behind her back. The mother is alluding here that she wasn't even told her daughter was handcuffed when this happened. Which, again, it just boggles the mind. If that was the case, why not say it out of the get-go, Luke? This seems extremely suspicious.
Let's just continue on with the clip because there's more revealing information about this girl not even knowing or how to handle or even having experience with any guns at all.
Ever.
Yep.
While handcuffed.
While handcuffed.
That's what the police told me.
That's what the investigator told me last night. If that is the case, it's very unfortunate and tragic, but there's a level of negligence there.
Dawn says witnesses on scene have spun yet another, more terrifying version of events over social media.
There's a few different stories, but they all end the same, that the police shot her.
Wilson also says investigators told her this was anything but a routine traffic stop. She says the driver, who was Sarah's boyfriend, was being followed.
We're investigating the driver. That Chesapeake police were investigating the driver, so they had been surveilling him.
She said the irony is one of the officers involved was wearing a body camera, which could answer a lot of these questions. There's only one problem.
It malfunctioned.
So no video.
That's the gist of it.
Sarah's Facebook page does have postings indicating she was suffering from depression, but Dawn says she has 2 younger sisters she just adores, and she wouldn't do that to them.
She's a moody teenager. If there's a mom out there that hasn't heard some of that stuff from their kids, I'd love to meet them.
Exactly, you know, and I think that's a huge point to make, Luke. Being a kid is not easy, you know what I mean? Being a teenager isn't easy. We all kind of have these things, and without more evidence, and it's not like, again, she was in private, they found her hung, she had been talking about using a firearm. This is an incident where the police are involved. She's all of a sudden pulled over. And again, it would be suspicious enough if she just ended up dead in handcuffs with a gunshot wound to the mouth. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, everything just screams there's something wrong about this case. Number one, she's very young. There was no letter. Usually when a suicide occurs, especially amongst women, there usually is some kind of last farewell kind of message. Women are less likely to commit suicide than males, of course. And I think the reason that there's a lot of different kind of eyewitness accounts of what happened and what didn't happen is because even in a court of law, eyewitness accounts are sometimes seen not credible because how the mind works and how the mind recreates events in other people's minds. And I think that's why we're seeing so many different versions of this event and so many different things that people believe actually happened. But ultimately, there needs to be a wider investigation here, especially into the malfunction of this camera. It makes absolutely no sense. But Jason, like, even when you sent me this, I'm just on Twitter, and there's entire, even just websites, there's entire news organizations out there right now, Police to Police and other ones, that literally are just there holding police officers accountable because time and time again, even looking at this story, as you sent it to me, I was just randomly on Twitter. I just saw this video that someone sent to me in, of course, a school where a police officer literally exchanges some words with a student and just starts beating the crap out of him, starts choking him and pushing him. The officer later charged this kid with, of course, assault on an officer, which is absolutely insane. Of course, this video came out, proved that this officer lied. He said he, quote, made a mistake. It wasn't a mistake because this student didn't shove this police officer, as you see by this video footage, as you've seen time and time and time again with any authority figures. Now, there's a number of things we could talk about these things, and I think there needs to be a national discussion, especially with the way police departments are trained, especially the psychological issues that they have to deal with. They do have to deal with the worst elements in our society, and that does have psychological negative effects on you. That's why we're seeing such police officers, statistically create more domestic abuse cases than other people by other professions. This is why we're seeing so many different psychological problems. Different countries address it in different ways. I think in Asia, they do it with the laughing yoga and exercising and other different psychological programs. But this is an epidemic. This is becoming more and more of a problem. Even personally myself, one of the first videos I ever made, I was out there with a sign outside Building 7, outside Larry Silverstein, where literally a police officer came up to me, said, you know what? I'm just going to say you're a terrorist and you have a bomb. I don't care. You're going to go in the hole for 7 days unless you leave right now. I'm going to frame you for a false freaking terrorist attack. On video. That was one of my first videos. You go back on the official We Are Change channel, go all the way back to one of the first videos. You see me literally try and get framed by a police officer. Of course, I filmed everything. That video was released. That officer was held accountable and punished for his actions, allegedly. But accountability is a whole nother issue to get into. But Jason, this is, I would say, an epidemic. What do you say?
I'd say the same thing. Netflix recently highlighted the Khalif Browder case. Jay-Z produced that documentary of this young man that was charged with a crime, ended up in federal prison from the time he was 16 to 19, and then killed himself. And although a lot of people have made these issues about race and, racist police, the case that we just went over just highlights that, look, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely, and it doesn't matter what color you are. We have to hold police accountable. And when you make it about race, it only becomes a more divisive issue. Obviously, anybody that knows the Khalif Browder story is horrified that this happened to anybody.
Yeah, and it doesn't go to the core of the issue. Once you start generalizing it, like we saw Beto O'Rourke, who said, I'm sorry, I have white privilege. I was able to pay to get out of jail. No, you're rich. You're coming from a rich family. All right. You're generalizing the issue and getting away from actually solving it by pushing people away, by creating this identity politics mob mentality instead of dealing with it. And this is a story that I wanted to bring up. And again, this happened a long time ago as we were talking about it before going on the show, the story of Khalif Browder, which again shows you how just corrupt, inept, and illegal this system is. I mean, this person was held in jail for 3 years without a trial. This person actually did commit suicide because of the greater injustices in our system that do need to be fixed. And they can be fixed when you deal with the actual issue and hold the people accountable. Those police officers need to be held accountable. Again, there needs to be a bigger, wider discussion, not on white privilege, but on specifically dealing with the issues of authorities overstepping their power and abusing their power, because again, it happens time and time again. Even some of the video footage that I shot, I've been notified a number of times, not just once, not just twice, a number of times, that my video footage at protest specifically let people be free, gave people their freedom, because it contradicted directly what the police officer said in a court of law. And in a court of law, a police officer's word is viewed a lot higher than the person that is being accused, of course. But with actual video footage that I filmed many times at these big national events, I proved how police officers were lying to, of course, arrest more people, which is, again, not all police officers are bad, but this is a systemic issue that does need to be dealt with. That's my take on it. Anything else, Jason?
No, that about wraps it up for me.
All right, that's what we think about it. If you think we're wrong in any way, let us know in the comment section below. We always appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much for watching. We are Change.org. Without your support, without you sharing, without your donations, we're nothing. And that's why I love you guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Stay tuned for more.